Hello, everybody. We are live. We are here making artwork for our new Legend of the Five Rings campaign, and we're talking about adventures in Rokugan. We're continuing to talk about it. This is the third video trying to get through this huge ass book. And instead of James, today I'm here with Tarek and Sasha. And we're going to have to get them up to date on what this game is. And I'm interested to hear what Sasha has to say because she likes Dungeons and Dragons, but she doesn't know a lot about Legend of the Five Rings.
And I'm willing to bet she's going to be very disturbed by the stuff that she's going to read.
I'm ready for it, honestly.
So when we last left off, we were talking about martial techniques, but before we do that, we have to start Matt off on his character making. So he's got to start his art. So whose character
I'm
are
just
we
trying
making?
to clear the slate.
Yep.
For this file. There we
You
go.
deleted the character. Awesome.
And
I have it in another file. He's good.
So which character are we making? We got two scorpions on the docket, I assume.
I think Tarek volunteered Sasha to be
Exactly.
first.
And I love volunteering other people.
As per usual.
What drives me.
All right, that's okay. I have my references ready, and
Uh-huh.
I got some
I see them right now.
descriptions that
I'm
I can
looking
give you
at
too.
So let's talk about the character. She's a scorpion. What is she about?
Here, let me see here. I have a whole little document prepared, except now it's on Adventures in Rokugan. So I wanted to make this character pretty different from my first one here, and I kind of wanted to try and make someone that was a little bit less like Kaideko is great, very funny. I love her. But I wanted to kind of try a different form of role play. This character is like kind of darker, definitely darker. She is a young lady. She's what? I think I put her age as like 20 something. And she is supposed to be a very good duelist. She is her name is Bayushi Naorin. Probably mispronounced that horribly without the accent, but
Miorin.
yeah, I find I say it too much like a European would. So
Be ashamed of yourself.
I'm sorry, I'm European. What do you want from me?
I'm just playing.
That's why you listen to the animes.
That's why you die.
I'm sorry, I'm not a weeb. I cannot apologize enough. She's a Bayushi death dealer. And she was born into the Crane family, but through various circumstances is now a scorpion, which I'm sure we're going to get into later.
What is her main personality trait, would you say?
If I had to summarize it in one word, it would be like notorious.
Right. She's devious, sneaky.
Not really. Notorious, as in like everyone like has heard of her and expects her to be up to no good.
Right.
But that's not necessarily the case.
Got it.
Yeah.
What kind of does she have any like distinguishing features?
Definitely. Since she's a scorpion, the most like noticeable thing about her is the white hair, the like silvery white hair.
Oh, you're
Definitely.
doing crane white hair, huh?
Yep. Uh-huh. Exactly. And the other very noticeable thing is, per the scorpion traditions, she's got a Oni mask. It is, let's see, I have that art
Terrifying.
here somewhere. It is terrifying, but it is red and with like little gold colored accents, and to kind of play into the Oni motif, she also has a set of like unattached horns that are in a headband that she keeps tucked under her hair. So she's got covering her nose and mouth, the lower half of the mask, and then the horns protruding from her hair.
When I played a scorpion, I also did the lower half. And you know why that's important? You know why that's a good thing to have that mask over your nose and mouth?
Yeah, Tarek was telling me about it. He was explaining like the scorpion lore to me and everything. It's so that people can't like read your lips or tell if you're like lying or trying to hide your emotions better.
Or if you're like laughing.
That's a much better reason than I had. I thought it was to keep people from stealing kisses from
It's
me.
to be hot.
Also, yes.
Everybody
Which she is. So we're already succeeding in multiple areas.
Like, I was honestly thinking that they were like gas masks of sorts. So just in case, like, there's a smoke screen that was brought down on them by an opposing force, or like if a poisonous gas was don't want to say belched out, but like, you know, put up on the battlefield, at least the scorpion who used those facial masks would have a few extra seconds to breathe and figure out how to dispel the gas.
Glorious.
Wouldn't that be terrible?
No, but she does look kind of like a scary lady. Her eyes are kind of this like dull hue of like gray blue. And they look pretty like emotionless, honestly. And she's tatted up. She has a giant tattoo across one of her shoulders that goes down her side and actually has another part that attaches and goes up the back of her shoulder. The front facing portion of that the tattoo showcases an Oni mask, and the back portion instead is flowery in nature. So she definitely kind of lives up to that like notoriousness. And she also kind of has an air about her that just makes people think that she's up to no good. What is that trait? The Whispers of Cruelty.
Yep.
Yeah, she's got Whispers of Cruelty. People may immediately think that they're in danger, their life is in danger, or they are in for some kind of a scheme going on when she's around.
Yeah. People think she's up to no good.
I mean, the Whispers disadvantages are very much like for scorpions.
Yeah, it's definitely very fitting.
I mean, Takaro, my Soshi Takaro had Whispers of Treachery. Everybody thinks I'm trying to like pull one over on them, or
that's because you were.
No, I'm not. I mean, kind of, but not all the time.
Only 80%. That's less than what it says on your hand sanitizer bottle. Come on.
Unless there's anything else you'd like to talk about your character, we can continue to.
I think we can save the rest for later.
All right. Matt, feel free
for when Matt needs more references.
Feel free to interrupt us if you need to ask questions about character design things.
Yes, feel free.
So far, I think I'm getting most of what I need from what is described. But I will most definitely, say something if I feel that I need to add a little more. I'm assuming from some of the references that she has exposed shoulders.
Actually, I didn't grab a good reference photo for her clothing, so I'll go ahead and grab that while they're talking about the Adventures in Rokugan.
All right.
So let's get everybody up to speed, you two up to speed on what Adventures in Rokugan is about, or at least how I have seen it so far. You have different species that you can play, from human it seems to be a footnote in the species section, but you can also play uh, Tengu, Mizoku, Ratlings, Naga, specters like ghosts, and like in just random spiritual creatures like dragons and stuff like that. Oh, and shape changing animals. And those, there are 7 different species you can play.
I want to play a Raksasha or Shasha or however the
I
hell
guess
you
that
say
would be
that
a
word.
tiger shape changer.
Yes.
Well, that right off the bat is very in the realm of like the mystical, like fantasy 5e, like play.
Yeah.
Pick your waifu race. I mean, monster race. Sorry.
Pick your monster race, exactly. Then you have your classes, which include Bushi, Duelist, Ritualist, Shinobi, Courtier, Pilgrim, and Acolyte. So there's 2 kind of fighter classes, your Bushi and your Duelist, and they both get martial techniques. And they get focus points, where they can empower their techniques with focus points. Courtiers have courtier rhetoric, or something like that. Shinobi have merciless attack, which is their basically like their sneak attack. Everybody has like a different resource. Ritualists have favor, which is basically favor from the kami or the god, so they can cast their magic. That empowers their magic. Basically, that's their mana points.
Yeah.
And
Their spell pool.
Pilgrims have a huge track that have yin and yang. So there's a yin and yang on each part of the track, and then there'd be like 4 yin and 0 yang on one side, and 4 yang and 0 yin on the other side, and then different amounts of that going back and forth. And you move your track backwards and forwards as you power your externalities. And that's what those powers are called, externalities, not kiho.
What are they? Oh, they're for monks. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, wait, what is this supposed to be for? This sounds like a crazy fucking new take on Shugenja, but if it's monks, that makes a little
It's a monk thing. And then lastly, there's acolytes, and I kind of forgot what acolytes get as their thing, but they get tattoos and stuff. So you can be a tattooed monk specter. How does that work? I don't ask me.
You only have skin when it matters.
But let me look at what the Acolyte Resources. They get ego synthesis. When you complete a long rest, you get inspiration. So I guess they don't really get a resource. But
and what are those for?
The 2 types of acolytes are Togashi monks and darkness monks, or they get shadow brands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's hitting close to home.
Yeah. Hey, shut up.
So after that,
We'll get to my character later.
After that, you can, of course, add a background, and your background is what family you come from in the samurai caste. Like, are you a Hida? Are you a Togashi? Are you a Shiba? That's a background. And then they have samples of, like, if you want to play a Hida defender, take this class with the Hida background, with these feats, and you can create whatever you want. They have Imperial backgrounds, they have Monk backgrounds, they have Ronin backgrounds, all that stuff. Then feats are not really an optional rule here, because all of your like clan specific stuff is found in feats.
What?
But anybody can take those feats, not just your clan, as long as you meet a certain prerequisite. Yeah, like I have a 15 strength, so I can just take this Hida feat even if I'm not a Hida.
That's doesn't seem like a very L5- ary.
Do you get feats more often?
Nope.
I was just about to say.
Nope, you don't.
Well, strike one.
Yeah, you need feats to build your character into something that you don't start or like gain feats more
Yeah,
often.
you need feats to make your character immersive with the world, but you don't get any extras.
One of the cool things we found were charms. So you get a charm slot, and as you raise in level, you get more charm slots, and you can get
I like that.
different levels of charms, and you activate them once per long rest, and they can give a huge bonus to your character by wearing these cool charms. And I like that rule.
I love that rule. That fits very well in samurai kind of mentality.
Yeah. Um, that's feats. We're going through all of the clan feats. There are species feats too, and they're only for that species. They're you cannot get them unless you're that species, and it usually has something to do with them um uh a part of their physical body that they can use in a better way. Like Naga can get constrict. Then instead of personality traits, bonds, flaws, and goals, you get two motivations. And by playing your motivations or having a complication enter the game based on your motivation, you get inspiration. Mind
Okay,
you,
so inspiration is like the void taking place of that, seems like.
yeah, basically. But it's just a regular inspiration from 5e. You can get one inspiration and you can use that to get advantage on a roll. Mind you, there are a ton of ways to get inspiration in this game now through feats, through special abilities that have nothing to do with role playing your character.
I kind of want to point this out because it's relevant to the 5e side of it. Um, Wizards of the Coast just put out earlier today their what are they calling it? One D&D
Yes.
PDF, and they released a bunch of like pieces of information on what's going to change in 5e. And one of those things is that inspiration is going to become a lot more relevant and not something that a GM gives you. It's something that you get whenever you roll a critical on a check or attack. You just get a point of inspiration. So
Ah,
it's that
it's
kind of conflicts, it seems like, really hard with this book's whole gimmick on inspiration, but who knows?
I know. Um, well, there's a lot of stuff in this book. Well, the way you originally got inspiration was by playing your bonds or your personality trait, or
Yeah,
it was a
by role playing your
reward
character
for
well
role play.
Yeah.
And
for
now it
strong role
seems
play.
like more and more they're stripping that away and making inspiration purely a mechanical thing.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
no longer a reward. It's like a mechanic now, which kind of
I
sucks.
I kind of perused that document you gave me about D&D 1,
Yeah.
and it said under human that after a long rest they just get a point of inspiration, and I'm like, no. Arr. And I I don't like it. I want a reward for good role play, for playing your character. A lot of times this good roleplay reward though becomes you made the game master laugh, so get a point of inspiration. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not cool either, because making your table laugh is a reward unto itself.
I just wish they took more of a direction with it, like Void in L5R. Like I wish D&D would do this because Void feels really meaningful in L5R and reasonably hard to get still, but still in the hands of the players as well as in the hands of the DM. And
Yes.
it's
yeah.
not just you made your DM laugh. I feel like the way that they're going with it, um, is not going to be very healthy for the game state. It's kind of making it more like a video game where you press button X to get inspiration kind of deal, which kind of sucks.
And that was a problem with fourth edition. Is everybody said it felt it felt like playing an MMORPG instead of
Yeah,
playing a sit down tabletop role playing game.
that's
And
exactly what I was just telling Sasha earlier today. Was
yeah,
that it feels like they're going backwards into this.
It feels like we're playing Divinity Original Sin 2, which is kind of funny because the same company who made that video game is now making Baldur's Gate 3, which is based off of D&D 5e. But in Divinity, your spells can't crit, just like in D&D 1 or 1D&D, spells don't crit anymore, apparently, as far as what we've seen in the UA content. So it really feels like we're going to video game style where you can only crit on smacking people with a stick.
Yeah, it's kind of silly to me. Doesn't make a lot of sense. It feels like a real like backstep into a style of D&D that people had a lot of problems with last time it was out. So I don't know if this is going to be. I have a feeling that they're going to get a huge blowback sooner or later. Like it just came out today, the UA stuff. I have a feeling within the next couple days, people on Twitter and Reddit are going to go nuts with it and start screaming, and they're probably going to backtrack some of the stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But Adventures in Rokugan seems to be doing its own style of 5e, not really going off the hard 5e rules and doing its own kind of mix of things. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes in its own little like direction, because I don't imagine that they're going to be extraordinarily compatible with the rest of D&D as a whole.
Yeah, it's looking more like this would be. It feels more like an adventure setting book, but it also, I'm not sure if it has enough content in there yet to be an adventure setting book. But like, are techniques supposed to be a stand-in for spells, or
No,
do you have
kind of, actually.
spells?
So we're on page 249. This is where we're going to start this book. Mind you, the D&D 1 stuff is still just in playtest. So they have a lot to, if they need to course correct, they still have time to do that. And hopefully they'll listen to their fan base. But here in Adventures in Rokugan, it's set in stone. They've already released the book.
Yeah.
So we're on page 249, techniques. And there are techniques for each different type of class. So your fighters get martial techniques. Your courtiers get rhetorical techniques. Your ritualists get invocations. And your monks, your pilgrims, they get externalities, they call them. That's what it is, externalities. So the first thing you do is on the next page is they show you kind of what the area of effects are. So they're basically relying on maps for this because it's D&D. So get your mini out and put them on your grid, and here's how these work.
Grid paper. I love it.
Yes, grid paper.
Lines, slams, slam. Like a broad line.
Yes. A lot of these remind me of like anime moves where you like slam on the ground and like we're like in Street Fighter versus Marvel where the Hulk would like pick up the ground and there would be like and like a giant earthquake would happen kind of in front of you. Slam attack. Line is like I slash my sword and like an air slice comes out and attacks you from a distance.
Yeah, like that dude in Samurai Champloo who hits you with a blade that has cheese strike out in a line at you.
If they have a bunch of things in the techniques that are like AoE, like line or cube or things like that shots, seems like they're going to be prioritizing, or they should be prioritizing positioning. And I would hope that they would put like techniques or what are the other words?
Invocations.
Like invocations or things like that. Yeah, to compensate for having to need to be more aware of your movement, like maybe adding in different types of movement that you can do, or having different rules for different types of movement that you can do, like how Pathfinder has like a 5-foot step kind of deal. I'm wondering.
I haven't seen any new rules on movement except for a new what's it called? Except for a new condition called maimed, and maimed creatures have -10 to their movement speed and disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. Mind you, some of these conditions, I think maimed should be half movement, or I don't know. It's an okay one.
Yes, I am maimed, but I will run at you slightly slower.
So the new conditions are bleeding. Bleeding character takes a d4 piercing damage on the start of each of its turns. I kind of don't like that. There's a reason bleeding isn't in D&D. First off, you're rolling dice every turn now. More rolling slows things down. I used to run a bleeding rule in old Dungeons and Dragons, and I would say that you take 1 point of damage at the beginning of your turn, and I thought that was fine. And no one had to roll. We would just be like, and you're bleeding, and we would move on. Disoriented, can't make attacks of opportunity. I think that's a good one. Distracted, a -2 penalty to its armor class. Don't like that. It should be everybody has advantage to attack you, because that's how this new edition, that's how D&D 5th edition works.
Yeah, that is how it works.
You don't get,
if something is giving you like help to distract an enemy, you get advantage on the attack roll.
Mm-hmm.
Static they're going to make that a condition.
Static bonuses and minuses went away.
Yeah. For a good reason.
Yeah. Marked for death, a creature that's marked for death takes an additional d8 points of force damage the next time the creature marked for death hits with its melee attack. I have no idea what that means, but maybe as we read techniques, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
My favorite new condition.
Something marks them for death.
My favorite new condition is provoked. A provoked creature.
This is like a taunt. It looks nice.
Like enraged.
A provoked creature has disadvantage on all attack rolls against any creature other than the one that provoked it. I love that.
Yeah.
There are like class features and stuff in D&D that do that, so making that a kind of like rule that anyone can do is kind of cool. There's like spells and
what's a
class
condition?
Features.
It's just the new condition. I don't know that anyone can cause the conditions. I think they're caused specifically by techniques, but
right. But that means they're at least using like the existing stuff
Exactly.
and adapting it to what works here.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Which I like.
And weakened,
if it's supposed to be.
I like this condition too. A weakened creature loses damage resistances, and if it has immunities, those immunities become damage resistances instead.
Ooh,
I like that.
I don't like that. There's a good reason that a lot of things. Well, I guess it depends on what the monsters are in this game, because if you're like fighting, because see, I am imagining if you're fighting a fire elemental, making it just resistant to fire is going to be like, oops, ouchie, I hurt myself.
Put it in the context of Legend of the Five Rings. You don't know about, since you're so new at Legend of the Five Rings, you haven't fought Oni and supernatural creatures. And supernatural creatures in L5R are not, they're usually resistant to all attacks except for Jade.
Like magical. That's like the version of magical damage, right?
Or Jade weapons or Jade items. So Jade can weaken those creatures and get rid of their resistances.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the context of L5R, this status
makes
condition
a lot of sense.
Works very well.
I see that.
In the context of like D&D at large, I don't think it makes as much sense, but it still could work. I don't see a problem with it.
So,
someone said some techniques have a mandatory movement requirement before use. That's interesting.
Yes, some techniques do have a mandatory movement requirement. That's very true. Mm-hmm. So, using martial techniques, we're going to go down to page 253, and we're going to start talking about these martial techniques. So, to use martial techniques, there's a focus cost. Now, all Bushian and Duelists get focus as their class feature. And every scene, they start with zero focus. And then they gain 1 focus around at lower levels, and at higher levels, they'll gain like 2 focus around. There are other ways they can gain focus too, by going on certain stances. So, for example, I'll just open this book up right here, my physical book. A Bushi on mountain stance can gain an additional focus point for each hostile creature within 5 feet of you. If you're on Ember stance, you gain 3 additional focus points if you reduce at least 1 hostile creature to 0 hit points since the end of your last turn. So there are
So they sound like
ways.
they're actually really helpful for progressing through a series of stances, like depending on what the combat encounter stage is.
So there are ways to like jump up in focus, but you really got to think about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah,
So
it's like you'd want to start on Earth stance or Mountain stance because that would get you more um, stuff if you have a lot of people still up in the fight and they're close enough to you. But you want to go for the killing blow, then you're going to be wanting to transition over into fire stance so that you could then get the benefit of doing that and taking somebody out, gaining more focus at the end of your
so
strike phase or
there
something.
are a whole bunch of stances. Each class I think has 5 different stances,
Oh, wow.
and you can only choose 2 at starting levels and 1 more at like 11th level or something like that.
Wow. Okay, so that's wildly different. I imagine that you would still be choosing like a stance at the beginning of each round.
No.
This is very
So
different.
there's a bit of forethought, a bit of luck to getting a lot of focus points. Otherwise, you're just gaining 1 point around. There's also feats that can help you. Like there's a feat that allows you to spend an inspiration to get more focus, or however. So there are ways to do it if you think about how you're creating your character in a more intelligent way. Like you, whereas in 5th edition D&D, you can just follow the progression, level up, and your character will just grow. And here, you really have to think about, oh, if I do this, it'll work against me here. I thought,
Definitely for more seasoned players.
yeah, and I thought they were going to make this game to be more accessible to everybody. And there's a lot in this game that kind of bogs things down and is a little more dense.
Yeah.
Especially these martial techniques, because these martial techniques act like spells for warriors. For example,
Which
let's read
back to the whole fourth edition
let's read Crashing Wave Cut.
handling different types. Oh, I think I am lagging pretty hard.
I think you should try leaning into your mic, maybe.
No, I'm lagging because I heard Corey like cutting in and out as he was talking because I kept talking when I thought he was done, but it was just lagging. So my bad. I apologize for that.
Okay, I'm going to read Crashing Wave Cut and you'll see what I mean. So Crashing Wave Cut, activation, 1 attack, focus 3+, range self, but it's a wave that comes out, so it's a cone. I don't know why they call it a wave. It's cone. Mandatory movement. You must move 10 feet before the attack. Weapon used, any melee weapon or unarmed. Effect. Make a multi-target melee weapon attack against all creatures in range. On hit, a creature in range takes your weapon damage plus ability modifier. Additionally suffers the maimed condition for 1 minute. Bonus effect, if you use a weapon that deals slashing damage, each creature you hit also cannot use reactions until the end of its next turn. If you spend at least 4 focus points, increase the range to range plus 10 feet, or 6 points, range plus 15 feet.
So it can potentially go all the way out to the full cone, but it starts out with just the first 5 feet cone
Mm-hmm.
and then grows.
And focus is like the new opportunity.
No, focus is a specific resource that only Bushi and Duelists get.
Okay.
But
And
it's an
they start with
expendable
0,
resource.
and it grows during the combat. Every round they get 1 unless they use a stance, and that stance activates, and then they can get a bunch more. Or if they have some other special abilities or feats that can get them more. And at the end of the combat, all of their focus goes away.
I love that thing oh my gosh, that Matt is doing with the hair. Got distracted. It's very swooshy. I love it.
Oh yeah, that's it's one of my favorite things to do.
I live for it, honestly.
Swoosh. Everyone loves a good swoosh.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
come on. Tell me you don't.
I've been watching old 80 commercial montages on YouTube. And all
Like
I
the
care...
dirty ones or
Huh?
Like the dirty ones?
No,
or...
commercials. Just regular commercials for like Del Monte and like the Sizzler and like that kind of stuff. And all I can do is look at people's hair. And I love it so much. I love their hair, men or women. It's amazing. And women always have the big poofy hair, like they stuck their finger in an electrical socket.
Fair enough.
Oh,
But you
here
can
comes
see,
my cat.
you can see when I read the description of that, it sounds more like a spell than an attack, right?
Yeah, it looks like the attacks are more. It feels appropriate for L5R, that's for sure. Where the attacks are more like, they have that like fantasy element to them still. Of like, this is not really explainable by your standard physics of how swinging a sword works, but it's
Excuse me.
feels
So
fitting for L5R.
We ended last night's adventure with or last night's discussion with Crimson Leaves Blow. Let me read you this one. Activation, attack, 1 attack, focus 3+, so you need to spend at least 3 focus points. Range, slam, weapons range, so it comes out like all of the
A wave
squares
from you.
Yeah, all of the squares in front of you, but only to the weapons range. Any melee weapon or unarmed is what you need. Effect. Make a multi-target melee weapon or unarmed attack against creatures in range. On a hit, the creatures take your weapon damage plus durability modifier. If you hit a creature and your attack roll also equals or exceeds its passive perception plus 5, you can disarm that creature of one weapon it's holding. You can choose whether the weapon falls at its feet or it's knocked 5 feet away. And of course, you can't disarm natural weapons. Bonus effect. If you wield a weapon that does bludgeoning damage, each creature you miss, takes your weapon damage plus 1 per focus you spend beyond the base cost. When you spend at least 5 focus, range becomes plus 5. When you spend 7, it becomes plus 10. And when you spend 9 focus, it becomes 15.
Tell me
15.
that ability is based off of like dexterity, because then that makes sense. I kind of like the idea of making like a sleight of hand attack and stealing people's weapons.
Nope.
But if you can do that on strength, I'm disappointed.
You are just taking your giant club, you're smashing against the ground, or any weapon you have, and smashing against the ground, and it's creating a shockwave that's making people lose the weapons in their hand. And then, if you miss, they still take damage if it's a bludgeoning weapon. They just still...
They should have made that not against their perception. That should be like a dexterity check to hold onto your weapon.
Yeah, like a dexterity saving throw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not something against perception. That's kind of funky.
But you can see why these are kind of like spells, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's the most interesting thing is if you go down to, I guess, page 256, there are Iijitsu techniques that cost focus, lots of focus. And we were talking about how would you do an Iijitsu if you need focus to do it.
That means you just literally have to stand around for the first like 6 rounds of combat, just staring at each other like.
So you've gotta do your yeah, exactly, your power up sequence where nothing can hit you because you have that giant like ring of fire all around you while you have your fists clenched like this and you're screaming like Naruto.
Or Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
Iijitsu is a quick draw maneuver. So you have to have a sheathed weapon and then you quick draw it and slash.
So I guess if you're having a stare down, that makes sense.
It does.
Do they have mechanics for a stare down, or do you just have to hope your opponent will chill with you for 5 rounds?
There are special dueling rules, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, you need a weapon that has been sheathed in its scabbard to do these techniques. But they cost focus, which you start every combat with 0 of. Unless you have bought a specific feat that allows you to like get some focus beforehand. So let's if you Tarek, if you see any martial technique you want to comment on, please.
I mean, yeah, I see a few. Like I see they kept Crossing Blade and Rising Blade on the Ijitsu stuff.
Yes.
Doesn't really feel like they make a lot of sense in their current form. Like you were saying, not only is the focus cost like really high, apparently, but like one of them's a full round action, which seems strange to me. The other one is a reaction, which seems more realistic to me. Like this is something that you're doing in reaction to somebody coming into your threatened range, coming in or going out of your threatened range, or triggering some kind of like opportunity attack from you. Um, the one that costs an action doesn't seem as useful for me, especially if you're spending that much focus. I don't know, really.
So let's
Like
read it.
9 focus.
Let's read it and see what we got. So it costs 4, takes an action to use. You must move 5 feet before performing it, and you need a sheathed weapon. And it works in a sweep, which is everyone kind of around you.
Yeah.
Effect: draw your weapon. Make a multi-weapon attack against each creature in range. On a hit, a creature takes your weapon damage times the maximum number of attacks you can perform with the extra attack class feature.
Jesus fuck, actually, that makes so if you're a fighter, I don't know if the Bushi or the Duelist get the extra attack feature as many times as a typical fighter does in D&D 5e, but if they do, then that just becomes unbelievably powerful later down the road. Because you're talking about like, oh yeah, so you have weapon damage, you roll a d8 for your longsword or your katana or whatever, times like 7 because you have 7 extra attacks. Like, Jesus Christ.
No, it has to be the extra attack class feature, not just an extra attack, but the class feature of extra attack.
Yeah, exactly. But fighters usually have the extra attack, like 4 or 5 of the extra attack stacked on top of it. Fighters?
I don't think so. I think they get it maybe twice.
No, extra attack.
Sasha, I can't hear you.
Oops, I forgot to unmute myself. Extra attack is just taking a second. It just lets you do 2 attack actions
I know.
in a round. So I'm confused what we're talking about.
So you get 3 extra attack uses as a fighter in D&D.
Oh, 3 extra attacks.
Yeah,
So,
but you also get 2 action surges that could be technically used to then populate more extra attacks.
So, so you get 2 extra attack or
3
extra attacks.
Yeah, a total of 4 attacks per turn.
A
single attack
as a fighter.
action.
So you have to take your action to do it, not an attack, but an action to do this. So you get rid of all those attacks, but multiply your damage by the number. I think it's it's the same, really. It's like you're getting rid of all those attacks and making 1 attack roll, but multiplying your damage by the same. It's about this. It comes out about the same to me.
I guess so.
Okay.
But it also affects everybody within a potentially massive range.
Yes.
I think I misunderstood, and I think I thought you were trying to say that like your actual 5e fighter has 4 extra attacks, and I wasn't sure.
They get 3 extra attacks.
Okay, never mind. I'm still confused. Are we talking about
They get the
L5R
extra attack.
5e?
No. In the 5e, fighter gets extra attack class feature 3 times over the course of 20 levels.
Okay, yeah. So they can attack multiple times. Okay.
In a single attack action.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm looking at Bushi, and they get extra attack. At 20th level, they get their 3rd extra attack.
So, okay. So at level 20, they get their 3rd level attack. Extra attack.
Level...
That's the same as fighter. So then that's true. Do they get action surge as well?
No. They get
that's good.
Extra attack at level 5, extra attack at level 11, and extra attack at level 20.
Yeah, that's exactly the same as fighter.
So no action surge though.
No
action surge like.
That's why I was worried, because if you add an action surges in 2 uses of that, there's like 1 turn that they can do like 3 different of those sweep attacks, and each one of them would be hitting with the equivalent of hitting each one of them 3 times. So you're doing like 9 times the damage on.
Well, it does say activation time is 1 action, not 1 attack. So it reads to me, a rules lawyer, pardon me, that you can only do this anytime you are granted an action.
Exactly.
Which is only once, not an attack. Your extra attack is still part of 1 action.
Exactly.
So you can only do it once.
Exactly.
Well, you do that once,
unless
and then,
there's a feature like haste. Yeah, if you had action surge, then you could theoretically do it twice.
So if you could action surge 3 times or twice, then you can do this 3 times in a round, doing all 3 of your attacks.
But it doesn't seem like even in the system, in the L5R system, even if you were like a Bushi or a duelist that had up to 4 attacks, you could still only do this 1 time unless you had some feature like an L5R version of haste that granted you an extra action, like actually.
Exactly.
To keep
and if you
down,
could, it would make it really scary.
To keep confusion down, when we're talking about this game that this is Adventures in Rokugan, and L5R is the other game.
Right. Yeah. Who cares about that one?
Who cares about the popular one that everybody loves?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just shit on this one for a while.
All in all, I think that
Iron Force defense.
This is a way to customize your character, and get some of those cool things that spellcasters can do for a fighting class. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but at the same time, like, all of these things are very dense.
I love the Laughing Fox defense, though it looks really powerful and silly. I love it.
When you would be hit by an attack, make a melee attack roll against a creature other than the attacker within range. If your attack roll result equals 2 or higher than the attack roll that would have hit you, the attack strikes the creature instead of you.
Yeah, it's pulling that crazy thing that happened to my character in the Ronin game, where oh no, you're not gonna hit me, you're gonna hit your own charge, you fucking idiot.
Now you're still bitter about that one, aren't you?
Just a little bit.
He even told me that story.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was just sad panda day all day.
I was gonna comment that it seems like, I mean, people like martial classes in D&D because they're simple. Spellcasters are kind of hard, but this already isn't like, it's kind of balanced because I don't feel like anyone who's new to D&D is going to be playing this because it's really heavy. But at the same time, if the martial classes are just as complex as the spellcasters, that kind of leaves not as much flexibility for someone who maybe doesn't want to juggle a bunch of different complex features.
So, a comment by Liquid Franz. Basically, these martial techniques are more like spells than you think, because you can only use 1 per turn.
Yeah, that's how it reads.
Even if you have action surges or whatnot, no, 1 per turn. Just like a spellcaster can only cast 1 spell a turn, unless it's a cantrip.
Yeah, sexy ass cantrips.
Do we have martial cantrips?
You can cast technically 2 spells in a turn if it's a reaction, and you have like Warcaster. That's the only other caveat to that I can think of.
Same here. You can use one of these that are reaction based.
That's what it looks like. It looks like there's an action one and a reaction one, and I think the way it's reading to me, you should be able to do the one that's based off of the attack, like the action, and then the one off of the reaction in the same.
But maybe not the one based off of action and the one based off of each individual attack.
I can't see the book because it won't load for me. But which one are you referencing that
like
has a casting time of
style
action?
is just an activation time of 1 attack. Same thing with Soul Sundering Strike is just 1 attack is the activation time. So those might be
stackable potentially.
They might be stackable with multiple attacks, but they might not be stackable with action.
I found the rule, and it says you can activate each martial technique a maximum of 1 time per turn, even if you have sufficient focus to pay for its cost multiple times. So it's not like spells. You can do 2 martial techniques in a turn as long as they aren't the same martial technique.
Yeah, if they're different ones, if you have one that uses your action and then one that uses your reaction, if you can pay for them both, you can use them both.
Or if you have one that uses your action and then multiple attacks, maybe.
It can't be the same one though.
No, it couldn't be the same one. It have to
It would
be
have
two
to be
different
different
ones.
ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, let's move down to invocations. I think we've spent enough time on martial techniques. Invocations. These use a different kind of resource called favor. Favor reflects the willingness of spirits with whom the ritualist communes to perform extraordinary feats on their behalf. Ritualist has a pool of favor they can use for invocations. Many invocations have a base favor cost of 0, meaning they can be used at will, while more powerful invocations have a base favor cost of 1 or more. Certain class features, such as Resonance, grants bonus favor. Bonus favor can only be spent on empowerments and cannot be used for base favor costs. Interesting.
So is favor like not they don't have spell slots here, right? That's
No,
kind of what I'm gathering.
no spell slots.
slots. So favor is replacing both spell slots and spell level. It's both.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that means that focus is replacing like just I mean, they don't have a fancy word like class feature X number amount.
Personally, I don't like when you add a bunch of new like resource points, because now you're juggling your hit points, your resource points, your arrows, your like it's just another thing that, especially like as a fighter and you're gaining focus every turn, you're like you need a separate sheet of paper to like mark all these down or get some like tokens that you can use.
Well, actually, I think they took a note from D&D variant rules on this one because there is a variant casting rule which uses a sort of like system for instead of spell slots. I don't remember what it's called. It might be like magic points or something like that, or spell points, which is very similar to how favor reads here.
So, under favor, under ritualist, it says invocations reflect a bond between yourself and various spirits, and flavor is an abstract reflection of the willingness of spirits to go above and beyond to assist you. Invocations reflect a bond between yourself and various spirits, and favor is an abstract reflection of the willingness of spirits. Did you just say that? When you perform an invocation, you must spend favor equal to its base favor cost to perform it. Additionally, you can spend additional favor to add potent effects to the invocation. You start with an amount of favor determined by your ritualist level, shown in the maximum favor column of the ritualist table. How do you gain more? Spent flavor is restored after completing a long rest. There it is.
So it's exactly like the variant rule then.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Or after you spend at least 4 hours performing tasks to spiritually align yourself in a spiritual active place like a shrine or pristine glen. So yeah, it's just like the variant spellcasting rules.
Which honestly makes sense. It's easier for them, I assume, to balance how many times they would allow certain effects if they just took a page from the D&D variant rules.
They do need material components and verbal and somatic components still too.
Casting time, base favor cost, range components, all of that stuff. All of that stuff is here. All of that stuff is here, and it's all fine. Like, these just look like spells to me. Tier 2 Earth Summoning. Tier 2 Earth Summoning. I mean, other than the empowerments you can give it, this basically reads like spells.
Yeah, that's true.
And empowerments seem like their version of upcasting?
Yep. Well, let's go through it. Let's go through the first one that's here. Armor of Stone. It's a tier 2 Earth Summoning spell. Invocation.
Yeah.
Resonances. You are outdoors in rocky terrain. Bonus favor for that. If you are in a cavern or edifice made primarily of stone of dirt, you get bonus favor. And to keep it up, you have to spend 1 favor per round for its duration. That's an interesting idea.
For an hour. Yeah.
You place a hand on the ground and stones spring up and fly towards you, fastening around you, shielding your body in rocky armor. For the duration of the invocation, your base armor class becomes 16, and you have disadvantage on dexterity saving checks, dexterity saving throws, and all attack rolls that use dexterity. And then you can use empowerments. 1 favor, you hasten the rites, treating the invocation as a bonus action. Another favor, the armor boasts hardened stone gauntlets that deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage. More favor.
Which is pretty awesome.
You can add favor to additional rocks attached to your armor and break away to deflect hits against you. You gain temporary hit points equal to 1d8 per favor spent this way.
Transmogrify rocks, compacting them and transforming their material properties to heat and pressure. Your AC increases to an additional +2 per favor spent this way to a maximum of 20. Yep. Jesus.
Resources do seem to be more scarce in this one from what I've noticed, both for martial users and spellcasters.
Fair.
Looks like they are very scarce on the things that you can do. Like, you have a lot of options, but you're going to be very limited to what you can actually perform if you get into combat or a scenario, pretty much.
Well, I think that empowerments are pretty cool, actually. I like that they're adding things that you can do to change spells and make them act in different ways. I like that.
It adds flavor and it adds customization based on what your character's priorities are, really.
Yeah, it looks like they kind of put in some meta magic from Sorcerer in there.
Yeah.
And then they also made some of their own empowerments that look like how you the way that your spells in L5R, the actual game, would treat with opportunity, right?
Exactly.
So that's a good mix.
Which is the holdover from the original L5R style of declaring opportunities to do extra stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of ways to manipulate and manage the game state.
So let's move on past these. God, there's so many. Oh my goodness. They go on and on.
Sheesh, that's a
Token
big list.
of memory. Setting resources. Wait a minute. There's no rhetoric techniques. What is rhetoric then if there are no rhetoric techniques? Let's go back to Courtier. I'm going to go back in the book to Courtier here and see what these rhetoric things are again. Courtier is on page 65.
I will say though, it sounds like courtiers are having the same problem with anything 5e, which is social doesn't matter.
Yeah, social doesn't matter. Social don't matter. Social don't matter. Because they get Intrigue Dice and Rhetoric. And I thought there were going to be Rhetoric techniques. I was like, oh, there's going to be some Rhetoric techniques here for this, right?
So what is Rhetoric then?
So, Intrigue Dice, with your insight, you can see into the hearts of others, and with your words, you can stir or provoke them to act. You start with 2 Intrigue Dice, D6s, which fuel your rhetorical flourishes. And class features. When a rhetorical flourish calls for you to spend Intrigue Dice, you roll them and use the results of these dice as instructed. Oh, the rhetorical flourishes are under the class itself. So, starting at 2nd level, you gain access to more rhetorical flourishes, which allow you to spend your Intrigue Dice in new ways to sway, reinforce, undermine characters around you. You learn 2 additional rhetorical flourishes from the following list. You learn 1 further one at higher levels, 6th, 9th, 12th, 18th, and 20th. So, let's look at the first one here, Artistic Appraisal. It's a bonus action, intuition bonus action. You can examine a personal item or weapon that you can perceive to learn about its owner by spending a bonus action. and one or more Intrigue Dice, up to your proficiency bonus. Make an Intelligence History check, adding the highest result among the Intrigue Dice you rolled. If the total is higher than the passive perception score of the creature that owns the object, you learn one of the following clues of your choice: the creature's background affiliations, the creature's known ability types, but not which one it knows, like does it know invocations or martial techniques or spells, the character's ability score modifier, the creature's skill modifier, the creature's senses including its passive perception score. If you rolled an 8 or higher on at least one of your Intrigue dice, aren't they D6s? Intrigue dice are D6s.
Do they not scale? Is
I
that
guess
maybe
if you rolled 2, if you rolled an 8 or higher on at least one of your Intrigue dice, you learn 2 of the above clues instead of 1. If you rolled 10 or higher, you learn 3 clues instead of 2.
I can't say that I'm a fan of the whole like passive perception being the new like vigilance. I feel like they could have like really made that made like better decisions with specific abilities to tie into, and not just made passive perception like with that, because I feel like it's not really meant to do what they're having it do.
I guess. I don't know. I think it's fine. I know my friend Howard. He uses every skill to have a passive version of itself.
Yeah, but it's just that they're all perception is what's bothering me.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah. It's all perception.
they're all perception. Like there's so many things that could have been better fitting. Like I'm a fan of the like if you didn't make an ability check or something is happening, like yeah, you can use a passive of something. Like sure, that's a house rule I've seen people use and it's fine. But I just wish they had varied it more to make sense in the situation. And it wasn't just passive perception.
Aren't saving throws useful for these types of things? Like, oh, he's trying to figure me out. I should use an intelligence saving throw.
They should be using saving throws for the relevant ability and not just perception. That's what's rubbing me the wrong way.
Or like a charisma saving throw. These like nobody uses charisma saving throws or intelligence saving throws, but they're supposed to be a thing.
Not for social stuff, but I kind of wish that bards had ways to force you to make charisma or intelligence saving throws against mundane things that weren't like spell-like abilities or spells. That'd be kind of cool.
Liquid Fran says Intrigue dice increase from D6s to D12s depending on level. So that's how that works.
It looks like it's bardic inspiration, but for yourself.
There's a whole bunch of different things it can give you. So that was just one of the abilities. Like honest assessment. When another character who you can perceive would fail a skill check, you can spend a reaction and one or more of your Intrigue dice. Add the highest result among your Intrigue dice plus your intelligence modifier to the result of their skill check. So they failed, and you're like, nope, Intrigue dice. Boom. You succeeded instead.
So it is kind of like bardic inspiration.
Only that player doesn't get to roll that bardic inspiration die. You do for them.
I see. Okay.
Incisive Wit. You point out a critical flaw in an enemy's defense at a key moment. When another character you perceive would fail an attack roll, you can spend a reaction and one or more of your Intrigue dice up to your proficiency. Add the highest result among your Intrigue dice plus your charisma modifier to the result of the attack check.
It also suggests kind of that the person using the dice has to make the decisions for the player rather than like bardic inspiration where the player can make the decision of when to use that themselves.
Move as your own piece. With calculated positioning and signals, you bait a creature within 5 feet who can perceive you to unleash an attack with consequence they don't foresee. Choose a creature that can perceive you, then spend one action and one more Intrigue dice up to your proficiency bonus. Make a charisma deception check, adding the highest result among your Intrigue dice. If the total is higher than their creature's passive perception, you choose one of its actions and it immediately uses that action. You choose any target for the action or the area effect if actionable. if you can only choose an action you are aware the creature possesses. You can only choose an action you are aware the creature possesses, either by observing it firsthand or discovering it through clues. So, mind control.
I feel like personally offended that they didn't gather a focus group of all of the nerds who play L5R and D&D and have them read this book before they published it. I would have done this for free. I've just gone somewhere and done this for free.
I'm sure these dudes went through a bunch of playtesting, and they had a bunch of people who like 5th Ed and a bunch of people who like L5R, and they all played it. I don't doubt it. Like, I'm gonna look in the credits here to see the names of the playtesters. Yeah, playtesting groups. There's an entire big section of people who did playtesting on this.
Well, now I'm just personally offended that they didn't invite me, because I would have given them some words about the passive perception.
Well, you got to understand. You got to understand something here. One is that authors have egos, and it doesn't matter what a playtester might say.
I'm sure that's what honestly happened. I fully believe that they were like, they did not like my idea about passive perception being vigilant. No, strike that from the records.
I know better than them.
Even though I don't play D&D 5e.
2, they're going for a certain feel. They're trying to capture a certain audience. Now, we're making assumptions on the audience that they're trying to capture with this. I know I am.
This is our birthright and tradition.
From what I felt, I was like, well, this is to get new players into the L5R world and show its richness and awesomeness. And giving them a D&D 5e rule set would help ease that transition. And I'm seeing a lot of very dense rules, a lot of finicky stuff, a lot of fiddly stuff in here. A lot of things like... So, looking at the invocations and the extra favor for extra added effects makes me go, people are going to look at the book. People are going to have their nose in the book all the time going, I'm going to choose, can I do this one?
Let us take a 20-minute break to figure out what we're going to do on my turn.
Exactly. And if they didn't prepare beforehand, prepare to have 10-minute turns.
That's pretty standard practice anyways. Man.
I mean, it's a standard practice anyways in D&D with its really light rules, right?
Yeah.
So if you create really dense rules,
then
you're never
just
going to have a
inviting
game.
hell.
You're going to see people. I feel like if they wanted to like involve the D&D community, they should have. I feel like they leaned really hard on the side of L5R. I feel like they should have done the opposite. They should have leaned more into 5th Ed, because that would be the appropriate way to funnel people from that community and expose them.
That's a fucking hot take right there, baby.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people a lot of people would say the opposite here.
Sasha, what's the color of the mask?
Red.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Red and black.
Because
Just like a typical scorpion.
the more I read this rule set, the more I'm on your side with this. That things should be simpler. That the L5R setting should be just that.
A setting. I feel like they would have succeeded better if they made it an adventure path in 5e and maybe
setting.
Exactly, an adventure setting, and added in some custom rules, like maybe custom weapons, custom spells and abilities.
Custom abilities, yeah.
Exactly, and they could have had a bunch of success
subclasses.
reflavoring certain things that already existed into L5R instead of making a bunch of like very complex new systems.
Make some subclasses that'll give you the feeling of a duelist, or the feeling of a bushi, or the feeling of a shugenja in terms of wizard or something like that.
Exactly.
Here's one of the things is, like, if they wanted a bigger L5R feel, they only half-assed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
because they
there's
still
no-
made it feel very
the
5e.
the clans feel like an afterthought, and the clans are one of the core things about L5R that make it L5R.
Yeah,
With the
core
whole
aspect
thing
of
being
identity.
tied to the feats, like you said in the beginning, I was like squinting and rubbing my eyes, like, what?
So they never are going to make any difference
So they're
for you.
they're never gonna matter, because you know how finicky people are with what gets chosen as their feat. If you know 5e players, they're playing for like build maximization, not for flavor and role play and background. Goodness, if you put that and make them lose an ASI, whew, you're never gonna see any clan stuff happening.
There's a
Mm-mm.
lot of D&D players who are like, min-max my character, crack a lot of jokes, and that's the game.
That's what we're
baby.
here for. We're here to roll the most
Done
dice possible.
deal.
We're going to make a
baby.
ton of drug references while I rule school with my ultra build.
Exactly. While you deal with my pun, I will
Exactly.
laugh.
I will giggle and become the destroyer of worlds. Yeah. Let me unleash the vermintide.
While
and then...
you deal with my character that I named Fuck Your Dice, who is a halfling with the lucky feat, then the halfling lucky feat, has levels in bard, cleric, and wizard.
Divination.
Yeah,
wizard.
to make you screw up all your dice rolls as a DM and never be able to crit a player, and they're cackling in the background, being like, "What is role play again?"
I think those are the types of players that are just there for the social aspect rather than like
not even the
creating a
social
story.
aspect. They're just in there for the I want to shit on somebody today aspect.
I will repeat right now what I think of power gamers. I think, or min-maxers, or munchkins as they're called. I think they're selfish. I think that min-maxing hurts a game. People who say I can min-max and roleplay at the same time don't understand. They're still selfish too, because they don't understand how min-maxing affects everything else.
Corey, I'm begging you to clip this and send it to me so I can send it to my D&D group, please. Please.
So one of the biggest things, the biggest problems with min-maxing is if you have a min-max player and some regular players, that they will start ruling every combat, and
they're
then the game master
overperform.
is going to get a sense that his combats, that the encounters that he's doing aren't good enough, that there aren't challenges. And then he starts upping the ante very slowly over and over again, and it leaves all of the other players behind, and they become useless except for the min-maxer. And then when the other players start becoming useless, the min-maxer will start blaming them. How dare you didn't build your character in a certain way?
It's not my fault your character build is suboptimal.
Exactly.
You know what that reminds me of socially? It makes me think of like, honor roll students or the students that have good grades constantly. It's like, oh, you're just not intelligent enough to keep up with me. Ugh.
No,
That was
feel
me,
like
and it's right. You don't have the you're not putting enough effort in to keep up with me.
I feel like that's a hot take, Corey, for the D&D community at large.
Oh, I've already made
I hope
video.
you can see that I have a shitter
There's
smile
an
on, by the
order
way, Matt.
video on my channel that
Just fucking
says
around.
exactly that.
Yeah.
I've said it before.
Oh yeah.
I will say I keep a special role in a place where I run my games in a Discord server that says Power Gamer. So if I see anyone min-maxing too hard, they get a special tag that lets me be less nice to them.
Yeah. Soon she will give it to me, and I will cry.
He's playing a coffee lock. You deserve it.
I'm not even playing a coffee lock fully. If I wanted to lean into coffee lock, I could have way optimized my character, but I'm playing just a fun character who happens to be a sorcerer and a warlock in a very inefficient pairing. But she's fun, and she's supposed to be. So actually, Corey, I think you might like this character concept. I'm playing a changeling who is losing her identity herself, and everybody who she's loved that's been close to her and died, she's using as an extra personality so that she can hold on to that person because they meant so much to her and they had such a huge influence on her life.
That's so
I
sad.
almost,
I like that.
I
Yeah.
almost I threatened death to everyone in a game he was in and was like, if they all die, you're taking them on as alters, right? Like as personalities.
Oh
And
yeah.
he was like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. They're all going to be shitty versions of
They're
themselves
all going to
still.
be me now. And as
Yeah.
such, they will not die.
They'll
And
never
I was
die
like,
as long as
no,
they're close to me.
no, they're still dead.
Yeah. You'll still cry about it.
They will, not you,
Yeah.
I'm
if you
trying to
live.
find this book that I own called The Munchkin Guide to Power Game. I can't find it on my shelf for some reason.
Because
I
it's
need
because
this in my
Crystal's
life.
in the
Came
back
after
reading
you.
it right
Crystal's currently reading it in the back, being like, how to mess
Yeah.
with Corey.
now. Ruin all of Corey's games in the future.
I'm taking
Yeah.
notes.
It's a tongue-in-cheek book that basically makes fun of power gamers or munchkins.
What is the Vermintide?
For example, it has a guide in there telling you how firearms or your attack skill can replace every single other skill you have. For example,
That's why I don't allow those.
For example, stealth. No one sees you if they're all dead.
No one sees you if they're all dead or if they're all scared of becoming dead.
Zoology. What kind of animal is that? A dead animal.
Oh, that's great.
I need this book in my life. I
Yeah,
really
it's a
do.
great book.
Thank you for enlightening me that this exists. I now need it.
It also introduced me to the cat toast drive. So they had different ways to get around in the universe and power sources for that, for like a sci-fi game. And one of them was the cat toast drive.
Like Nyan Cat.
So what happens is you take a piece of toast and you butter it. And then you apply that, you like staple it to the back of a cat, butter side up.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Or you glue it there, or however you get it there. And then
Step one, animal cruelty.
you pick it up, you pick up the cat with the toast on its back, and you drop it. Now, the toast is going to want to land butter side down, because that's how toast lands. And the cat always lands on its feet. So what ends up happening is that neither one can do what it wants to do, so it will hover in the air, spinning, never hitting the ground, and you can use that as infinite energy to power your spaceship.
Exactly.
So let me get this straight. Step one, animal abuse. Step two, question mark. Step three, profit.
That's exactly how
Exactly.
it works. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're getting it now. You're understanding.
I'm so glad. I'm becoming a power gamer. My mom would be so proud.
Let's move on to dueling. I'm going to show you the dueling rules here. I think you will probably either recoil to this or maybe like this. I don't know.
Where's your money?
Where do you think you're going to land on this, Tarek, without even looking at it?
Sadness.
You think you're going to be sad? That's
I'm
fair.
probably gonna recoil, I feel. If we keep with the theme today.
Here we go.
What are motivations, by the way?
Motivations replace your bonds, your flaw, and your personality traits.
Do they do the seven virtues and 3 deadly sins?
No. Your motivations are basically what drives your character. And you get 2 of them, and when they affect gameplay, you get an inspiration.
Oh, I was thinking they'd lean into like the regret. What are they? There's 3 from that the Living Shadow, the Lying Darkness had, and that's what made the 3 sins in Rokugan, and then the 7
No, it's
virtues or whatever.
It's basically character roleplay stuff is motivations, and when you play those, you get inspiration.
Choosing a species.
So duels start on page 296.
Okay, 296.
The rules for dueling can be part of a larger combat. On their turn, a character not currently involved in a duel can spend a bonus action to challenge one foe who can perceive them and is not currently dueling. Players decide for their characters whether they accept or not, and the game master for the NPCs. At their discretion, a game master can call for a contested charisma versus wisdom to see if the challenge character accepts. I mean, why don't you just have a saving throw for that? I don't know. If the challenger agrees, then the duel begins. If the combat encounter was already ongoing, the duel starts at the beginning of the next round. Otherwise, combatants roll for initiative and begin the encounter as normal.
I do have to say, I love the word danger dice. That
Danger
rubs me in the
dice.
right ways. Yeah,
Danger dice. Yes.
These are my danger dice. I pull them out anytime I'm in danger. Hiya! You throw the bunch of like D4s into somebody's eyes and run away.
They're D4 caltrops.
Exactly. My danger
Be
dice.
gone.
These get me out of danger all the time.
It's just a bunch of push pins.
Yeah.
My razor percentile dice. They're like kunai. They come out.
Yeah. Exactly. I love it.
As a duel wears on, the chance of decisive blow rises, represented by a number of danger dice, which are just d6s. A character can be assigned danger dice in various ways, such as the one described under the stare down.
So there is a stare down.
Before the start of each round, the game master calls for a special new phase, the stare down. During the stare down, each participant in the duel secretly chooses a number 1 through 6. Then all participants reveal their numbers. The character with the higher number takes the decisive posture. The character with the lower number takes the watchful posture. The character with the higher number is assigned danger dice equal to the number revealed by the character with the lower dice. If the two characters choose the same number, they both adopt a neutral posture and each gain 2 danger dice. There are 3 postures that they can assume during a stare down, which lasts until the next round. Decisive. You act at the start of the round before all other characters instead of your normal initiative. Watchful. You act at your normal initiative. Neutral. You act at your normal initiative. A duel ends when a participant is killed, reduced to 0, or surrenders. The finishing blow is one means by which a duel will often end. Finishing blow. After a character makes an attack roll that hits, before rolling damage dice, they can spend all of the target's danger dice and add them to the damage roll as extra damage dice. If their opponent's hit points would be reduced to 0 by the attack, the character can choose one of the following. Fatal blow. The character cuts their foe down, killing them instantly. Non-lethal strike. A character delivers a strike but does not slay them, reducing them to 0 hit points. Demonstration of superiority. The character holds their blade to the foe's throat or otherwise holds them in a losing position. The foe suffers no damage. I can't read right now. Jeez. But
You assume a JoJo pose.
But it is clear to all that they have lost the duel. Foes with a sense of integrity are likely to surrender or at least retreat, but especially prideful enemy might refuse, in which case the winning character can choose whether to deliver a fatal blow or non-lethal strike as above. In any event, the duel is over, and further combat at this point is resolved with a combat encounter as normal. If the opponent is not defeated in one of these ways with a finishing blow, the character who made the finishing blow gains danger dice, equal to the danger dice they added to their damage roll.
Wow, so you can blow all your danger dice on a finishing blow, and then if you don't actually kill the person, you gain all of them right back? That's weird.
Yep. And here's the thing. Every turn, there's no other thing you can do except to make an attack roll against them.
All you can do is swing. You can't take any other action.
And you just
That's
decide not to use the danger dice.
So
There's no focusing. There's no...
So why wouldn't you just always use all of your danger dice and try to kill somebody every round?
Because then you get all of those danger dice and they'll use them against you next time, plus the danger dice you've already accumulated.
It says the character who made the finishing blow gains danger dice equal to the danger dice they added to their damage. So you just get to keep danger dice.
No. The danger dice you have, the opponent uses against you.
Oh.
It's sneak attack as a self status now.
They're
This is
targets.
very confusing.
Ah. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
So basically, when you
yeah,
say,
It's like
fucking crazy.
vulnerability.
yeah, basically when you say I'm attacking you, give me your danger dice so I can add it to my damage.
Hmm.
And there's no other rules. There's no focusing here. There's no like
And every
feeling
other
out
duel
your
type.
opponent or making weird duel gambles to see if you can feint them out or
Outwit.
something.
Yeah.
There's
You
nothing
thought
like
I would
that.
like this, Corey?
Huh?
You said that you're either going to be revolted or you might like it, maybe.
Well, maybe I was thinking that maybe y'all would make an argument about its simplicity and say, "Oh, that's pretty nice and
It
straightforward."
is.
I feel
It
like
is
a duel needs to
extraordinarily.
be more complicated than your standard combat, not hyper simple when your standard combats are the hyper complex ones.
Well, I
The
mean,
duels,
it's got some
like,
complexity with the danger dice and the postures.
yeah, in the sense that I cannot understand what is happening. That's fair.
So it's both way too complex and not complex enough.
It's
Yeah.
convoluted but simple. That's what it is. That's the right way to phrase it.
I also think like all the duel types, they have a list of all the different types, common forms of duels. Mounted duels happen in Unicorn lands. Jiu-Jitsu duels only in Crane, Phoenix, and Scorpion lands. Like they have all of these things, but all of them still boil down to the exact same thing of like roll a die and see if you murder the person.
Yeah.
If you don't, the other person gets to do the same to you,
In
and so
Jiu-Jitsu-
on.
It feels like there's
duels-
very little like flexibility in that, which as a player, like thinking from a player standpoint, would be I don't see why you would ever want to get into a duel, because at that point you are just saying, all right, dice god, take the wheel. I have nothing I can do about this, which sucks as a player.
What I would say though too is if this is a dueling thing, and the duelist and the bushi get focus and specific techniques that affect Jiu-Jitsu, why the hell aren't duels based around focus?
Yeah,
gaining
focus.
focus.
Points. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Why wouldn't that be the mechanic here that extends into the dueling and then gives you the ability to use these badass techniques that you have devoted your character to learning?
I think
Like-
it's because
Those don't matter.
they have ritual duels, so like ritualists can do it, or like monks can like do sparring competitions. But the thing is when you look at this, when you look at Jiu-Jitsu duel, where you're supposed to keep your sword in your scabbard the entire time for one blow, there are
makes no
no
sense.
extra rules here to facilitate that.
At all. That doesn't make any sense.
This is
So basically on your turn you do nothing? Are you going to attack? What if you pull your blade out and attack on the first round? Does that mean you lose? It doesn't, or does that mean, what does that mean? Nothing.
It means that I am ready for Adventures in Rokugan 2nd edition, and this time I will volunteer to playtest.
Sasha knows better than all of you.
Yes.
She will tell you.
Winding Road Clash.
This is my job. I tell people what to do.
Wrestling contests. I like the sound of that. Who can wrestle better? That's a wrestle.
So the rest of this is basically setting stuff, the history of Rokugan, and there's an adventure in here, I believe.
Oh, I hope.
The Atlas, and let's move on down. There is an adventure, and the adventure is kind of like Mask of the Oni.
Yeah, I see that. Grim Inheritance, right?
Yes, Grim Inheritance. I'm trying to get there.
It actually looks like it's adapted from Mask of the Oni by Tim Cox and Alexis.
How fitting, considering what Matt is working on.
But to be honest, Mask of the Oni was like a really great adventure path. I really loved that adventure path. I thought it was really good.
It was
Very
fun.
compelling. That being said, I wonder how they are going to kind of make this work for that.
I mean, what's great about Mask of the Oni was that it was kind of a dungeon crawl where you were just crawling through this castle and going through each room, and there were like encounters in every room that you had to solve.
Yeah, there were really interesting puzzles in each place.
I
Not
mean,
necessarily all of them were fighting, but they were all very
no.
So
compelling.
that sounds like a good thing to adapt to D&D.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't think that there were really puzzles in Mask of the Oni, more of interesting encounter. I guess there was a big puzzle, like trying to figure out what was going on and getting the little pieces together and uncovering the mystery. Because there was that
Yeah.
ghost, and there was, yeah, there were.
There were the floors that were there that had the different types of Oni, and how you encountered them could trigger off crazy like combats, or maybe you could avoid a combat potentially. There was that hallway that we were terrified in. We had to figure out how to even get through.
Oh yeah, the terrifying hallway.
Yeah, the hallway that was just like horrifying
God,
to
it's
everybody.
so long.
It's so
Ah!
terrifying. We literally couldn't get through the hallway because it was so horrifying that we couldn't like move further.
Like, was Tatsuo able to make it through? Because I remember
No.
making like a really high roll in meditation, and Corey's like, "Oh, okay, you just made it through without any issue." It's
I
like,
thought
oh.
that was Crystal. Wasn't Crystal the only one who was able to actually man up and get through it?
Yeah, it was
immediately?
Crystal.
And everybody else was terrified, locked in the hallway.
Crystal's
and she was
crab,
just
who was just
like,
like,
"What are you doing?"
Crystal's crab
That's
was
how
just like, I
so
killed
fitting
Oni
for a
good.
crab.
Mm-hmm. I'm hungry. Me want smash Oni.
Oh god. Mariah?
Yeah. Well, not that kind of smash.
I don't know what you are talking about.
On page,
I love the map though. The map does look really beautiful. They kept the same kind of
kept
map.
the same map.
Here.
On page 359, there's PC motivations for this adventure. Whether a player is creating a new character for this adventure, deciding why their existing PC would participate in the quest, any of the following can be excellent motivation for participating. The first one is to earn substantial monetary reward.
That's what everybody wants, really, in life. Just take money. To win political clout for their family or clan, also, I think it's funny. Let's head into the Shadowlands, because that's where you make political clout.
Morbid curiosity.
Morbid curiosity is also
I mean, I understand that one.
Yes. Kairiko is like, yeah, okay, I'll go.
That's
I want to see how
enough
this
for me.
acts. Yeah.
And if people start dying, I can autopsy them. Who's gonna stop me?
The ones lower down are more sensible. Like, make sure that your friends don't die. Okay. Help Haruma Yoshino in her time of need. Which, if Haruma Yoshino is somebody who you're gonna like, highlight in the beginning of the adventure, so that you get the players kind of invested in that, then that makes sense too. And then fulfill a political debt to the Haruma family. That's a good way of like, everybody starts the game in debt to the Haruma family, and this is kind of your way of being called, getting the debt called in. I could also see prove yourself as a hero, but that seems kind of a thin, flimsy one. Like that's for somebody who's literally just playing the I like to smash things, so I am Bushi, hear me smash. And then just to win political clout for their family or clan, I don't understand how walking into the Shadowlands gains you political clout.
I don't know, maybe you're doing a 20.
I lived, bitch.
But you're very likely not to live. That was the whole thing we learned on this adventure. People were dying and getting tainted, and we were trying to freak out, trying to figure out how best to keep people alive.
I mean,
and we still lost a bunch of Ronin that we hired to come with us.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all hired a
All
bunch
of
That's
them
why
die.
you get the political clout, or you
lost
die
half of
trying.
them.
Yeah. We lost the majority of our Ronin. 2 of us got tainted and had to get like untainted. It was pretty brutal. Pretty brutal.
Hey,
Shadowlands is a scary place.
I do want to ask Corey, our resident Scorpion expert, real quick. Scorpion colors those are like red and black, right?
They are red and
Just
black.
so that I'm not super wrong. Okay. And
I like that Matt's giving you a black turtleneck right now.
I was gonna ask too. Is that
I work
is
from
that gonna
dark to
end up
light.
being- okay, that's gonna end up being blue, or is that gonna end up being more like black? Just because.
Well, I mean, I'm following
Yeah,
along with the
assume.
colors that you have on the references, unless there's a specific color palette that you want with your gown,
Yeah,
rather
for the
than
kimono, red and black is a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I sent a message after the images, and I wasn't sure if you had seen it, so I wanted to.
I didn't see it, unfortunately. I'll go ahead and change the majority color
Yeah,
in a
no
little
problem.
bit.
I just didn't want you to get like
bucket.
halfway finished with it, and then I'm like, "Hey, Matt."
Hey, you caught me at the right time, so don't worry. I can make those changes.
Great.
So I think we've gone through the Adventures in Rokugan book.
Yeah.
All
they
this
covered
said,
a lot of it.
for the good and bad, because there are some really great things in here, and there are things that I think maybe I don't understand and need to like see it in action for it to work. And then there's some things that I'm just like, nope.
Unacceptable.
Do they have like a video or something showing people playing this so
I'm
that
sure
you
they
could
do.
actually see it in action, like official?
I have not looked up any video, but I'm probably sure that they have something like that.
Because I wonder if that might make some of the more convoluted rule. It's gotta either make them make more sense or really reinforce the nope.
I would love to play this game. I don't think I want to run it. I want to play it. And I just want it to be as batshit crazy as possible. Like have Mizoku and dragons and ghosts all in the same party, running around doing weird L5R stuff.
You wanna make a quote unquote throwaway game where we just experiment with it. It's not our dedicated L5R game, but just something where like, all right, let's make this as wacky as possible and see where we can go with it.
So, Matt, if I didn't have this big campaign that I'm starting up here using the regular Legend of the Five Rings rules that we're making these icons for, maybe I'd do that. But right now, I can't do that. So if another person wants to run, I will definitely help facilitate them running such a thing. I think
they have some decent like stat blocks for NPCs in this too.
So I am ready and willing to play. But I am not going to run it because I've already committed to this big new campaign.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wicked soul.
Y'all don't want me to run this. I don't know enough about L5R. This would just be D&D. I would just run it in 5e and give it an L5R flavor at that point. I'm saying screw this book.
I would probably make my own wacky adventure where the party's responsible for trying to get tea for Lady Amaterasu and Lord Anatongu. And the situation just gets worse and worse. It's like, how is this possible? This is supposed to be an easy task.
Yeah, it's a very secret tea locked away in the nth layer of hell. Enjoy.
Yeah, Lady Anamarasi, get me tea! I want it! She's like throwing furniture across heaven. She's like...
Earthquakes ensue.
And that's how Rokugan was made.
That's how a new setting was made. What do you mean?
By the way, I posted something in the server that I thought was funny from the book. There's a NPC called the Lesser Horror, and oh my fucking god, how could
what
that
is
be
the greater horror?
Exactly. How could that be any less or any like what? This is not less.
How do we
horrifying.
make that worse? I don't want to know.
Hold on. Just tell me what page it's on so I can show it to the public.
408.
What'd you say? For what?
408.
408. I'm almost there. I'm coming. Shadowlands creatures. There it is. Are you sure that's the lesser horror or not the horrific brute?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what it is, but Jesus Christ, is
lesser
it horrifying?
Horrific brute.
That looks like an amalgamation of a bunch of little horrors. Like Any
I
one
like the
part of
little
it might be a
fat
lesser
dude
horror.
that he's using as a leg, and he's like walking on his hands, like
Yeah.
here
If there
I
were sound
go.
effects necessary, I bit my tongue.
That's a load-bearing person right there. You
Yeah.
can't get rid of him.
Nope.
I don't enjoy imagining the shuffling of all of these legs asynchronously. That makes me want to throw myself out of our window right now.
Yeah. Too
That
much
in and of
noise.
itself is more horrific than any of the images.
The good
on
news
the rest
is
of that
though it only
page.
has an 8 AC, so
Well, it deserves death, so that's
Yeah.
good.
So, Legend of the Five Rings. What I have ideas like when Fantasy Flight got it, and they were going to reimagine it. They were going to restart things from the beginning. On one hand, I was okay with it, and on the other hand, I didn't think they went far enough. Like, for the fans, you want them to have a nice, comforting feel. Oh, this is L5R. Here are the clans with the different. Here, all the families are still here. The structure is still here. The world looks the same. We've just rolled back the timeline, and we're not continuing the old timeline. We're doing the new timeline. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. You want to start fresh with a new story. But then I thought about it. And the more I thought about it, I was like, if you're going to start fresh with a new story, why not change things in this world to be more diverse? For example, you have the Unicorn Clan, which are all like Mongolian inspired, but everything else in L5R seems to be way more Japanese inspired, except for small little tidbits like, well, we have Shaolin monks up here, but they're a small group. And we have, like, Tai Chi people here, but they're a small group. Why not start separating out these clans and making them more like different Asian peoples? Like, a people that's more like Korea. A clan that's more like Korean people. A clan that's more like the Szechuan people, and a clan that's more like the Mandarin people, and have
I'm gonna be real. I can kind of see why they might not be doing that.
Yeah,
they might not. They might be worried about like inclusivity, and like if they start really defining those lines, if they're not prepared for what that means and the like preparation and the work and the research that they would need to do that, then they might do it in a really bad way.
That's always a possibility. But on the other hand, like, it seems like there's not enough diversity in L5R. And when it's added in, when you have these little like enclaves of different Asian things that aren't Japanese in origin, it feels...
It seems like iconoclastic.
It's very minute.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like it has an impact, I should say.
Yeah.
Or it has an impact in the negative way. Like it feels like it just doesn't fit.
It clashes with everything. And I felt like maybe not make it kind of clans, but at least like bring in these other flavors of Asian into L5R. Even if you don't like make a clan Korean, make the entire setting have more Korean stuff in it, more Mandarin stuff in it, more like Laotian stuff in it, more Filipino stuff in it. Don't make all of the names Japanese sounding. Bring in other sounds from other languages to like broaden things out. I mean, if you look at all the gods and you look at all the spirits, it's all Japanese names. But if you look at the bad guy, he's Fu Ling. He's a Chinese name.
Yeah, that's kind of sus, not gonna lie.
So I thought it was a big missed opportunity to kind of expand the world. You're right. You have to do it carefully. And you might really alienate a bunch of your fans by doing it too, because they were like, oh, the Crab Clan was like this, now it's completely different, I hate it, I'm leaving forever. And that is...
I feel like they're playing it safe by not doing that. Whether that's the right choice, though, is up to obviously debate. But I definitely feel like it's a safe play from the side of the producers.
Yeah, it is.
Developers, yeah.
I agree. Whether that's the right choice or not, I don't know. But like I always think about what could be.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to see more diversity in L5R because I feel like it could also bring out more people who, I mean, we all know that like it's a fantasy game, but it's inspired based off of like heavily inspired based off of real life and like real life history. So like, you know, if you brought in more, you know, Asian groups, you might see more actual Asian fans.
Mm-hmm. Right now, it's a game pretty much for weebs.
Yep, that's what I
Yeah.
called Tarek when he invited me to join.
She called me a weeb and an anime boy, and then asked me if I was a little piss baby or not, and I said yes, of course.
I looked at the rules and I was like, what is this weeb shit?
It's the best kind of weeb shit.
Yeah, it's the good stuff.
Mind you,
Get with the times.
like, I have Big Eye Small Mouth, the anime role-playing game. And I have the Sailor Moon source book for it.
What?
Oh,
What are
you're
you
gonna
talking
love
about?
this, Sasha. You are gonna love the information that they're going to espouse from this game. I never knew that this existed, and I'm just like, wow, what the heck is this?
I'm leaning in now. What
The
is
Sailor
that?
Moon role-playing
Besem is
game.
a whole thing.
There is a Sailor Moon RPG.
Yes,
Can I live out my magical girl dreams?
yes.
Rolling dice by moonlight.
Thank you. Actually, I love that. What's the one that some of our friends in the other server play? Naruto? Art
God.
D&D?
I don't know.
It
I have
exists.
no idea.
I'll be right back, guys. I
There's a
just need to step
Naruto
away for a sec.
RPG because
I'm
why
not a
wouldn't there be?
fan.
I think Naruto would make a great RPG, just not under the D&D rule set.
I think it is, though. I think it is. I think it's
It's a
they literally
fan-made.
call it Naruto 5e.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a fan-made thing, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's an official Sailor Moon RPG.
Wow. I love that.
There's a 4th edition Besem, Big Eye Small Mouth that came out. I have not really looked into it because I have not the desire to play anime role-playing games right now.
Okay, you keep saying Big Eyes Small Mouth. What is that? Is that the
Besem,
developer?
That's the actual game
That's
name of the
the
game is
name.
Besem. Big
Oh.
Eyes Small Mouth.
Oh my God.
BESM.
That's the name of the game.
Besem.
Wow. Questionable. Questionable at best.
And
Yeah.
their Pokemon book is called, it's not an official Pokemon book. It's just like, here is, if you want to make Pokemon, here's a source book for it. And they called it Cute and Fuzzy Seizure Monsters.
Which is basically what she's bringing over toward the camera.
He was meowing outside, so now he gets stuck here. Yeah.
But the same company made a game that I really like called Hong Kong Action Theater. And I think you'd get a kick out of this, Sasha. Let me lay down what Hong Kong Action Theater is. You make a character who is an actor. You're playing an actor. And then the game master dishes out star power. And your character has different martial art. Your character actor has different martial arts and things that they can use. And then they bid star power on different roles they can take in an upcoming movie. And then you have to play that part in the movie to the best of your ability. Even if your character is slated to die, like I am like the brother that gets fridged so the main character can, you know, have motivation to defeat the main bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And you use all of the techniques you have as an actor do the best role
Who did
you
that
can
voice?
in the movie. And at the end of the movie, everybody votes who did the best, and then more star power is given out. So you can get a better role in the next movie. And you do it all again in new roles in a new movie. In a Hong Kong action movie.
Thriller.
I kind of don't hate that.
I know, isn't it fun?
It sounds kind of fun, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I love the idea.
Okay, I am gonna say though, my sleepy time tea is actually
All
kicking
right.
my ass
Yeah,
right
I think
now.
it's time. I think it's time we wrap this up.
The character's looking amazing, by the way, Matt.
Matt said he had to step away, so I don't think he's even here.
I don't know. I don't
Oh, I
think
thought
he's
I saw
there
his
either.
thing moving.
Negative.
But yeah, it looks wonderful. We'll
is
have to
looking pretty
figure out
bomb.
what to talk about next time we do this, because I think we're done with Adventures in Rokugan. Huh.
One
We can start
D&D.
talking about characters now.
Yeah, D&D 1. We'll go through D&D 1 D&D or whatever they call it.
Oh yeah, I'll have plenty to say by then.
All right. Hey everybody, thank you, Liquid Friends, for watching and commenting. Thank you everybody who watched this after the fact, as a recorded thing. We'll be back maybe tomorrow. It seems to be like a daily thing right now, so we can get these icons done. Other than that, we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Go roll some dice.